Thank you. So next question.
Okay, after you got lobbed that softball right there, I have a tough one. So it's been reported that the Canal neighborhood, specifically in San Rafael, pays the highest rents in all of Marin County. Would you consider or support or have an opinion on whether or not you want to put a rent control in for the city of San Rafael?
Okay, so let's start with Dick.
Where did you get the idea they pay the highest rent?
It was reported in our local newspaper.
They were probably lying. There's $2,500 and $3,500 rents all around Marin County here. Do you think that there's any of that around here?
Well, for apartments. Maybe a house is higher, but for apartment, I know here in the neighborhood it was reported that the Canal neighborhood pays the highest in Marin County.
I think was BS.
Pardon me?
I said every code that was BS.
Okay, so Damon?
Yeah, I know rent issues are a particular concern to certain areas around town. I have been meeting with people in Contempo, Marin, which is a housing area up in North San Rafael, and they have similar issues. What I'd like to do is just continue to work with affected communities and hear about your concerns as to the specifics, and then make a decision. I don't have enough information on the issue in the canal in terms of whether they're paying higher rents. That would surprise me, but.
Greg?
I wouldn't quite go so far as to say that somebody's lying to you, but I think you probably misinterpreted the data or something. I don't know if our IJ reporter here can verify that statistic, but as a landlord and tenant attorney for over 20 years, I've followed this very carefully, and while it's no longer true that the Canal area has by far the least expensive rents in the county, which was true for many, many years, it's become much more towards the middle in the average. It is by no means at the top. In fact, it's no longer the most dense area of the county, contrary to popular belief. I think the Bon Air Shopping Center has more units and people per square mile in its square mile than the Canal does. But it has been more expensive. It is too expensive, but the $64 question you're asking, of course, is rent control. Despite my strong advocacy for pro-tenant rights and reforms, I think rent control is a mistake. I've seen it in San Francisco. It provides a disincentive for people to build housing, and a disincentive for them to maintain their housing, and it provides inequities like Prop 13. You can have two tenants living right next to each other. One's been there 10 years, pays half of what the person right next door pays, twice as much, and it's demoralizing to see that kind of inequity. And so I think we need to put up with market rate rents and do all we can to build more affordable housing and subsidize where necessary to have a healthy balance.
Before I could go to rent control, I would need to have a lot more information about it. And I'd like to work with the community to gather that information and see what the rents are in the Canal area and where the rents are in other portions of San Rafael and other areas. I just don't like, I don't like making decisions without data, without analyzing it, so I want to analyze it. And if we got to a point where the rents were going up, which I know are very concerning to the people in the Canal and other portions of San Rafael, then I think we have to stop and figure what's the best alternative.
Okay, next question. There is a compost production facility being planned to take place in the Canal neighborhood, recycling facility for food and produce compost. Would you support such a project to be implemented in the Canal? If yes or no, why? We are going to start with Damon.
It sounds like a good idea in terms of one thing I'd like to see is actually some more economic opportunity provided in the Canal. And for example, one area that I believe is underutilized in town, if we can do it in a way that would make sense for the surrounding neighborhoods, is the Canal waterfront. Is there a way to either restore or redevelop it in a way that can provide local economic opportunity for residents in the Canal as well as in the city? And I hadn't heard about the composting center, but you know, I think composting is certainly a good idea, and if it can add some vitality or jobs to this area, then that seems like it could be a good idea.
Thank you. Greg?
Well, I like to consider myself one of the most fanatic recyclers in Marin. I started one of the first recycling programs in Marin 40 years ago when I was in high school at Newspaper Drive, and I've been recycling fanatically ever since. Composting is the ultimate form of recycling. I'm a fanatic composter too. We need it, we want it, we should have it, other communities have it. I have heard about the Canal's proposal. It's not all good. There are potential downsides. You have to make sure that it doesn't produce any more methane gas than necessary. You also have to evaluate it like any other projects. What kind of traffic is this going to generate? What's this going to do to the neighborhood? Most importantly, how do the neighbors feel about this? I mean, it may be a region-wide facility, but the immediate neighbors are not that wild about it. So you have to look at it in that light, but I would love to see a compost facility somewhere, and it may well be that out in Canal Way is far enough away from the immediate homes that it may be a good location, so I'd be very interested in pursuing it. Thanks.
Bob?
I've been involved in recycling for a number of years, working with Marin Sanitary Service and starting their first household hazardous waste program. And I know quite a bit about recycling, having worked with the Garbarino family. Composting is a very interesting topic, and it does produce some off-gassing. And will the neighborhood be affected by that off-gassing? And off-gassing is not just the methane, but it's the smell that might be occurring. And will the community tolerate it? Now, if it creates jobs, and we can get youth involved in those jobs, then I think we need to take a hard look at it. And I think it's a community decision. It's not just a one-person decision. It's got to be the community involved, because there are some downsides to it.
I have compost in my yard, good for the flowers.